This week, Yasir Qadhi tried to justify. Now, this is just a mind number here. Yasir Qadhi. I'm laughing because I did not expect to see this week. And I don't want to lose this. I'm sorry for starting late. I could not get the show to start. So thank you for those who came back. XYZ, Adrian, thank you for joining us. Darcy, God bless you. And anybody else listening, God bless you. You have the patience of Job. I have been fighting to get this live for almost an hour, and I never thought I'd have to download Google again, but I actually had to redo that, and then it started to work. Never thought I'd be there. All right. So let me tell you what I'm going to be doing here. Yasir Qadhi this week. He tried to justify a suicide bomber. Did you catch that? He tried to justify suicide bombing. It had me angry. It had me shocked. I'm sitting here, okay. And there's something else he revealed. I mean, we kind of knew this, but there's something else he reveals in this that most people won't catch. What gets me sometimes surprised and excited is when people reveal things they don't expect to. So let me start this off. I'm going to be stopping this pretty quickly, and we're going to go through it piece by piece. So let me pull this up, and I'm going to try and stop this as we go. Here we go. This is Qadhi on jihad.
Movement. SubhanAllah, CNN on its front page had an in-depth story of the life and bravery of a Ukrainian soldier who blew himself up to prevent Russians from crossing a particular bridge. He is viewed as a martyr for a noble cause. In any other circumstance, this would have been a suicide bomber who is a religious fanatic. But all of a sudden, the same incident and the same reality is portrayed in a different manner. BBC on its front page, and I could not believe this, I saw this with my own eyes, was reporting with glee, with happiness, that British citizens are coming to the Ukrainian embassy wanting to fight and wanting to volunteer. And the interviewer says, "Are you Ukrainian?" "No, I'm not Ukrainian."
Come on. Now I'm fighting everything. What is going on with me today? Can everybody hear me? All right. All right. And if I can just stop this, this went farther than I wanted. All right. Forgive me. Oh, so many technical issues. We're going to try this one more time.
SubhanAllah, CNN on its front page had an in-depth story of the life and bravery of a Ukrainian soldier who blew himself up to prevent Russians from crossing a particular bridge. He is viewed as a martyr for a noble cause. In any other circumstance, this would have been a suicide bomber who is a religious fanatic.
Really? A religious fanatic? Who is he talking about? Is he talking about Islam? I mean, doesn't that sound like Islam to you? It sure sounds like Islam. Let's keep going.
But all of a sudden, the same incident and the same reality is portrayed in a different manner. BBC on its front page, and I could not believe this, I saw this with my own eyes, was reporting with glee, with happiness, that British citizens are coming to the Ukrainian embassy wanting to fight and wanting to volunteer. And the interviewer says, "Are you Ukrainian?" "No, I'm not Ukrainian." "Why are you going?" "I want to fight for justice." Subhanallah. So when it is Russia that is invading, you want your own citizens to go and defend. But when it is a Western power, then when your citizens do this, then you go and you jail them and you call them terrorists.
Okay, let's get the truth out here. All right, this guy is such a deceitful, I can't use those words, but I would really like to at this point. This man is so deceitful. I don't have nice words, and I wish I did. So let's talk about the truth is that when ISIS started out, they were a part of al-Qaeda. All right. That's what we have to think about. We were there fighting al-Qaeda. Yep, that's who we were fighting. In Afghanistan, in Iraq, our goal was to fight al-Qaeda. Okay. Something to say. When people say we didn't have justification for going into Iraq or staying there, when we were fighting ISIS, we were fighting al-Qaeda. Keep thinking of it that way. In some ways, we had that justification because ISIS, again, even though it formed after we came, it's still al-Qaeda. ISIS was not defending anyone, people. They kept attacking, not just the Americans. They were attacking their own people. They were attacking and taking over large swaths of land. They were attacking and killing Muslims just as much as they were killing anybody else. So, yeah, I consider these guys terrorists. You're lying and you're deceitful, al-Qadhi. I mean, Yasir Qadhi, you are a deceitful person. I would add another word, but when you start lying about who attacked us, okay, we didn't attack anybody on 9/11 happened, and then that's called getting the war taken to you. Okay, so we went to Afghanistan. We went into Iraq. Guess who we're fighting? Oh, yeah. Let's keep going. This will bother you some more.
We have to be fair here. We have to be consistent in what we say is freedom and what we say is justice. Just because the invaders happen to be us, all of a sudden everything changes? No, we have to, with wisdom, because again, this is a very sensitive topic, and I have to put this disclaimer. Throughout those years of whatever was happening in the Middle East, I was never an advocate of those religious movements, but at the same time, I never said that those types of people in those lands are doing anything wrong. I never.
Wait. Okay, so they weren't doing anything wrong. So Yasir Qadhi has just said he agrees with the Taliban. He agrees. When you don't say they're doing something wrong, see, this is the funny thing. Oh, I didn't say they did anything wrong, but oh, wait a minute. I don't agree with them, but I do agree with them. But you can't have it both ways, Yasir Qadhi. You can't sit on that fence, especially when it's got spikes on it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So does he endorse them or not? Yes, he does.
Said this, and today I'm saying the same thing. When a foreign country comes and invades you, what do you expect the locals to do? What do you expect? The Ukrainians are fighting against those who invaded them. They are freedom fighters. When the Palestinians stand up and fight against oppression for 70 years, they become the...
Okay, I just got angry. 70 years, really? Okay, so when Israel becomes a country, and then this is where I get really angry and I think about this. Israel becomes a country, and what happens as they're becoming a country? Who leaves town? Who leaves town? It is the Muslims. Oh, so if the Muslims leave town, do they have a right to say that they are defending? The answer is no. They become the invaders because they had left. You can't say that that land is yours when you leave it behind. You can't. And that's again, when you look at who was there, that's what it comes down to. Were there the amount of Muslims that you're talking about? Were these people? No. So I lost it almost. I wanted to, I'm thankful this was on a screen because I probably would have. Yeah, let me just play the rest of this.
The aggressors, they become the violent people. We are not justifying terrorism, but who gets to define terrorism? And why is one act considered terrorism, not the other?
Yeah. So here's the secret thing he didn't tell you. The secret thing. See, when he was using this term justice over and over again, he's doing that for a reason. And XYZ, I agree with you 100%. Because in this video, he does two things. He basically says, I'm Muslim Brotherhood. When he keeps using that phrase justice, that is a statement made by Muslim Brotherhood leaders across the world. He was telling everybody he is Ikhwan. Who's the parents of Al-Qaeda? The Muslim Brotherhood. Who's the parents of the ISIS? Al-Qaeda. And then who? The granddaddy is the Muslim Brotherhood. Think about this. So this stuff, like I said, it had me really ticked, and and it kind of went with this show. I was trying to figure out how am I going to get that. I think it actually has to be done, but if I look at it first, this, like I said, it got me angry. It's I still got to get into this. So yeah, it has me ticked. This guy revealed that too much about himself. He's getting better at that. That's why when I listen to a lot of people, Eric in particular, that I have an awful lot of respect for. When I listen to Eric, he says, well, you give them enough rope basically to hang themselves sometimes, and that's the thing we need to do. You know, I am not that good in many ways. I'm not as patient as Eric to listen. I think it's sometimes maybe I'm slightly older than him, slightly. Maybe it's just because of who I am, but I get frustrated listening to this. So let me take you into. I had to restart the computer like 7 times while I was trying to get this back up. So I'm just going to get my PowerPoint back up so we can get going. What I have to share today is shocking. It's appalling. There is nothing nice about it. I wish there was something nice that I can share. But there is, in truth, nothing nice about what I have to share in this. So here we go. I'm just going to pull this up, share my screen. Okay. So this week, Biden released a terrorist was a 9/11 hijacker. The picture on the bottom is what he looked like when he was taken in and captured. Yeah. He's one of those guys that snuck into the United States, was part of a team that was supposed to, one of the 4 teams that did not take planes. Yeah. See, the guys at Gitmo, they figured it out. Yeah, the soldiers, they figured out where these guys were. When they caught a lot of these guys, they were at war with us in Afghanistan. And what I'm going to tell you about this story should scare you and it shock you, that a man who is partially responsible in some way for the deaths of 3,000 was just set free by Joe Dementia. And we all know who's really pulling those things, right? It is Obama. He's the one who sets terrorists free. Biden, a man with dementia, can't know what he's doing. That's where I'm letting him go. So let me pull up this next slide. Okay. So I want you to take a look at this date, March 7th, 2022. And I'm going to pull that article up and I'm just going to read it. I think I can. Let me see if I can just go through it. Okay, here we go. The Department of Defense announced. Okay, this is the 7th. Okay, it's 3 days ago. Announced 3 days ago the repatriation of Mohammed Mani Ahmed al-Qahtani from the detention facility at Guantanamo Bay to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. On June 9th of 2021, the Periodic Review Board process determined the law of war detention of Mohammed Mani Ahmad al-Qahtani was no longer necessary to protect against a continuing significant threat to the national security of the United States. Therefore, the PRB recommended that al-Qahtani be repatriated to his native country of Saudi Arabia, subject to the security and humane treatment assurances. On February 4th, Secretary of Defense Austin notified Congress. And again, keep in mind these dates, and there's a reason. There is a reason I'm showing these dates. He notified the Congress of his intent to repatriate al-Qahtani to Saudi Arabia. In consultation with our Saudi partners, we completed the requirements for reasonable transfers. The United States appreciates the willingness of Saudi Arabia and other partners to support ongoing U.S. efforts towards a deliberate and thorough process focused on responsibly reducing the the detainee population and ultimately closing the Guantanamo Bay facility. See, they revealed the real purpose behind this. It's not necessarily keeping people safe. It's reducing Guantanamo Bay. All right. It says the PRB process was established back in 2011, and okay, we get that. Let's keep going. Now, my question, was there a public announcement about this review board? And you're going to see why I'm asking this. I mean, this is a really important question. So when I decided I'd search for this, let me show you what I found. I'm going to grow this screen so everybody can see it. Take a look. So I typed in Muhammad al-Qahtani. I tried his full name, and I got this answer, the singular answer. Singular. I tried Muhammad al-Qahtani. I got this same exact answer. How many results? Do you see that? 1. Do you see this 1 over here? 1. Do you see the date on this? This is 28. This was 2018. This is problematic. I have to go back. I think it was 2014, actually. Thinking about it. This is problematic. This is not the same story. Here it is. Sorry, it's 2018. This is the one I pulled up. What's going on when this comes up? All right, this is something to think about. So I want you to, again, look at this. This is the announcement from 2018, July 6th. Did you see an announcement for 2022? Because I did not. So the question is, were they following the law as they're claiming?
Maybe Saudi Arabia paid them to release them.
I'm going to be mean, Comment Warrior, because if you can't get rid of that cartoon voice, I don't really want you on my show because it's too distracting. This is a serious matter, not a cartoon. All right. Okay, so I went to the White House and I looked. And this is what I found. Oh, 0 results. Okay. Look at this. The only thing I could find with al-Qahtani, I just tried that. I mean, not putting in his full name, I got this. And this is a press release, and it has to do with a Qatari envoy with that name. It's not the same person. That's a problem. So I have this book, and I wanted to share. I recommend this to everyone, this particular book to everyone. So I wanted to share some of what's in this book. I love the work of Lieutenant Colonel Gordon Kukulu. I want to share what I think is important out of here. He wrote, this is on page 6, Guantanamo was by no means entirely or according to USAF Brigadier General Thomas Hemingway. And I'm just going to, there we go. Oops, sorry, going the wrong direction. Okay. Trying to get the mouse in the right spot here. Okay. So, Guantanamo was by no means or entirely, according to USAF Brigadier General Thomas Hemingway, principally a Department of Defense selection. Picking Guantanamo was a Department of Justice idea, Hemingway said. though he thought they were compelling reasons for the selection. First, there was security. Camp X-Ray had been used in the past for holding a compound of dangerous prisoners from Haiti. Second was the Eisentrager opinion. The later was a Supreme Court opinion rendered in 1950 about a German who had committed war crimes in China during World War II. Then he was moved to Allied-occupied Germany to serve his sentence. This opinion gave legal basis for, among other things, the United States to remove enemy combatants from one overseas locale to another for legal processing. Because of this precedent, the attorney at justice thought an offshore location like Guantanamo would best fit the needs of the U.S. government in what was already being called the global war on terror. Hence, after extensively interagency staff in the U.S. Naval Base at Guantanamo Bay was ultimately selected as a holding site for captured enemy combatants. Now, this is an important concept to understand. Captured enemy combatants. Now, on page 7, he continues. It is important at the outset to note the difference between a detention facility and a prison. Confusion between the two often skews understanding of Guantanamo's mission. Admiral Harris said it best: prisons are about rehab and punishment. What we are about is keeping enemy combatants off the battlefield, because we know that many of them would go back to the fight. Gee, I think every single one that Obama released while he was there, guess what? Every single one he released went back. Yeah, they did. They all went back. Yeah. This is where I'm just going to skip down to the next paragraph. A Department of Defense release reinforces the point. Detention of enemy combatants in wartime is not an act of punishment. It is a matter of security and military necessity. It prevents enemy combatants from continuing the fight against the United States and its partners in the war on terror. Releasing enemy combatants before the end of the hostilities and allowing them to rejoin the fight would only prolong the conflict and endanger coalition forces and innocent civilians. Think about it. Now, here's what's interesting. For a guy who is released as somewhat safe, I mean, that's the kind of decision they have to come to. He's saying he's safe to be around others. There's a whole chapter devoted to him in here. I want to read this because this should blow your mind. Muhammad al-Qahtani. There's a quote here from Dieter Koslik, director of the International Berlin Film Festival. I would really very much like to greet the 450 inmates who are being held and tortured at Guantanamo in opposition to human rights of any kind on the red carpet. Unquote. Now, the reason why this book was written was because Lieutenant Colonel Gordon Kukulu had heard of these stories of torture, and he went to inspect the place himself. He went to make sure, if this is happening, that those people pay the price. Guess what? He discovered most of it was a farce. They were made-up stories. So I'm going to read this. It says the population of detainees at Guantanamo was never high, considering the number captured in Afghanistan. Now, here's the other thing I want to say about this man that they just released. This is the second chapter in this book. What does that say about his importance in the war on terror? For terrorists. Think about it. Okay, the population of detainees at Guantanamo was never high, considering the number captured in Afghanistan and elsewhere. Fewer than 800 had been evacuated to the detention facility, and number has steadily diminished over time. A score or more have been released outright. More than 300 have been transferred to the custody of their countries of origin, including Russia, the United Kingdom, Spain, Germany, Pakistan, and others. Moreover, let me clear away some prevalent myths. There are no women confined at Guantanamo, and there never have been. All of the detainees are men, nor are there minors, although a few who were minors when picked up on the battlefield have become adults here or have been released. However, it is important to note that in the terrorist world of al-Qaeda and the Taliban, recruitment of minors is a common practice. It is also important to recognize that the boundaryless nature of radical Islamic terrorism. Among the men confined at Guantanamo are terrorists who have conducted operations in Eritrea, Somalia, Sudan, Chechnya, Afghanistan, the Philippines, Indonesia, the United States, Great Britain, Kosovo, Jordan, Israel, Lebanon, Turkey, Spain, France, Holland, Nigeria, Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, Germany, and other countries, in addition to international recruiting. Al-Qaeda transfers funds seamlessly across national boundaries, has aggressively manipulated media, as we're seeing today again, and is adroit at using the internet as a weapon to train, recruit, fundraise, and proselytize. I'm going to skip down. On August 4th, 2001, at 4:18 p.m., on a hot and muggy Central Florida afternoon, Muhammad Atta, a key Al-Qaeda terrorist who later crashed American Airlines Flight 11 into the North Tower of the World Trade Center on September 11th, accompanied, some sources say, by Marwan al-Shahri, entered the parking garage of Orlando International Airport in a rented car. Qahtani arrived at the same Orlando airport on Virgin Atlantic Flight 15 from London at approximately 5:35 p.m. His flight had been scheduled to land at 4:40 p.m., but apparently was delayed. On his travel itinerary, Qahtani had listed the telephone numbers of Mustafa Ahmad al-Haswa, the Al-Qaeda financial facilitator coordinating 9/11 preparations overseas. When immigration officials became suspicious of Qahtani, he told authorities that someone was picking him up, but he didn't know who. He was moved to a private office for further questioning. Between 4:30 and 8:30 p.m., a total of 5 phone calls were placed using a calling card and associated with Muhammad Atta from an airport payphone, to the same number Qahtani had provided on his travel itinerary. The number of Mustafa al-Hawsawi, I cannot say this name right, Hawsawi, okay, frustrated by the problems with immigration authorities. Qahtani withdrew his application to enter the United States and flew back to Dubai. Now you know what actually happened. He was there to kill and to take over another plane. Qahtani's flight left Orlando at 8:25 p.m. Muhammad Atta returned to the parking garage and left in the rented car at approximately 9:04. These facts were documented through a combination of airline, telephone, and bank transaction records, and apparently Orlando airport parking garage surveillance cameras. These facts are not dependent on later confessions or hearsay. Unfortunately, the case against Muhammad al-Qahtani has gone dreadfully wrong. There is much more to Qahtani and his history than the hard evidence summarized above, including his own admission of meeting with Osama bin Laden at bin Laden's house in Afghanistan on multiple occasions, informal testimony by 9/11 mastermind KSM, the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, describing how bin Laden personally selected Qahtani for a suicide mission in the United States. Yet the controversies that arose from his confinement, including documented instances of abuse during his interrogations in the early days of Guantanamo detention camp, have overshadowed efforts to bring him to justice. While Qahtani's treatment ultimately led to implementation of protections and policies preventing abuse at military detainment facilities, his case has been portrayed by advocates in a manner that cast him as a victim while distracting attention away from hard evidence. Although Qahtani's case is unique, his background is quite typical of many of those confined at Guantanamo Bay. Here is part of his story. From the distant desert valley of Bama Kel, U.S. Special Forces, this is from Tora Bor, Afghanistan, October 22nd, 2001. Okay. U.S. Special Force soldiers hunkered down near the Pashtun village of Melawa were afforded a splendid view of the Spin Gar. This range, translated as White Mountains in English, rises majestically in increasingly high waves until it blends into the Hindu Kush and reaches altitudes in the excess of 21,000 feet. Also borders the American Special Forces operators call what they call Indian country. Then the Al-Qaeda sympathizing province of Waziristan in neighboring Pakistan. For years, the province has supported the Taliban and al-Qaeda. It continues to offer, and guess, we knew it then. Yeah. I'm just going to skip down. In any event, during the battle, bin Laden gave his satellite phone to one of his bodyguards, Abdallah Tabarak, with instructions to travel towards the Pakistani border, essentially serving as a decoy while bin Laden escaped in the opposite direction. Qahtani also headed for the border, accompanied by approximately 28 al-Qaeda fighters, where Pakistani forces captured and detained him. Qahtani claimed that his passport had been lost during detention in Afghanistan. Less than 2 weeks later, he was turned over to U.S. forces. After additional interrogations in the field, Qahtani was deemed of sufficient value as a possible intelligence source, as well as a high threat for more violence against America. That he was given the prisoner number ISN 063 and designated for evacuation to a secure facility. He was transported to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba on February 13, 2002. Qahtani was born to a modest, wealthy family in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia in 1975. He was a religious young man, praying 5 times a day, as required by the Quran, and observing feasting days, what they call fast days, and the holy month of Ramadan, and becoming infused with a radical form of Islam preached at many Saudi mosques. The U.S. government had released background on Qahtani in various documents, alleging that he had been a basic terrorist training program in late 2000 through 2001 as a camp known as Al-Faruq, sometimes spelled near Kandahar, in order to participate in jihad, which he deemed a religious obligation. Perhaps 20 or more other Guantanamo detainees, as well as at least 7 of the September 11, 2001 hijackers trained at Al-Faruq. It was a major site for training Arab and other foreign fighters, as was frequented by bin Laden and his top leaders. His trainee group would have been standard for the program and would have included 12 to 16 other jihadis like himself within a typical camp population of 150 to 200 trainees. Many were from Saudi Arabia. Others included Chechens, Yemenis, Iranians, and North Africans. The Australian jihadi David Hicks, a.k.a. Dawood al-Australia, is thought to have trained there around the same time, but that's still unverified. Later that year, starting at June 1st, the American al-Qaeda John Walker Lind also trained at that camp and later described courses and weapons, orienteering, navigation, explosives, and battlefield combat. Now, this is what this man went through. You think about this. Yeah, this is the guy they released. He was trained to kill us. And you released him. He's approximately late 40s. Is he still a danger to the United States? We will soon find out, won't we? I'm going to have to hope no. I'm going to hope no. This is just scary, scary, scary stuff. In late 2001, al-Qahtani left Afghanistan, honed and ready a human weapon. He was under orders to make his way to America for a crushing operation against the Great Satan. He would shortly board a commercial aircraft that would take him to Orlando, Florida. The young terrorist was coming to Disney World. Yeah. In April 2001, fully a year before the Battle of Tora Bora, Qahtani had visited Osama bin Laden at his house in Kandahar to receive orders. By this time, Qahtani had graduated from the terrorist training course at Al-Faruq, where he had met bin Laden for the first time and pledged his abaya, his lifetime allegiance. By late April, having completed his small arms training, Qahtani went to Kandahar in southeastern Afghanistan. Kandahar was a short distance south of Darwana, the closest town to the Faruq camp. By his own admission, which was later recanted, Qahtani was informed by bin Laden personally that he had been selected for a special al-Qaeda martyrdom mission that would take place outside of Afghanistan. Qahtani was to visit the home of al-Qaeda's number 2, KSM, who also lived in Kandahar. KSM would eventually provide key evidence during the 2006 sentencing trial of Zacharias Moussaoui in the United States. Moussoui's 58-page deposition includes KSM's personal recollections of Qahtani. I'm just going to read that part. This is going a little bit longer than I thought. Sheikh Mohammed said there was another operative who came into that operation very late, commenting that al-Qahtani is an extremely simple man. Zubair al-Halayl had originally told Sheikh Mohammed that al-Qahtani was suitable for martyrdom operations, and Zubair went directly to bin Laden about al-Qahtani. Bin Laden, acting on Zubair's recommendation, presented al-Qahtani to KSM as a candidate for the 9/11 operation. Qahtani was summoned back to KSM's Kandahar home in late June. At that time, he received the specific instructions that bin Laden had alluded to in previous conversation. On or about July 14, 2001, Qahtani went to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where he obtained a new passport. Thanks to the U.S. State Department program designed to ease Saudi visits to America, he was able to fast-track U.S. and U.K. entry visas. 2 weeks later, Qahtani went to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, and contacted Mustafa al-Hawsawi. He stayed in Dubai almost 3 weeks. KSM, hardly a Qahtani admirer, recalled that when he told Qahtani to obtain a U.S., Swiss, French, Italian, and Australian visa, he needed to explain to him the existence of visa regimes. See, he thought he was clueless. He didn't have much respect for Qahtani. I want you to think about this. I mean, there's a whole chapter on this man. There's 10 more pages on him in here. He was here to kill Americans. He would have killed 1,000 more if he'd had his choice. And yet, Biden let him out. So here's the next part of this. Al-Qahtani's lawyer deceives Muslims all over the world. And I'm going to grow this so everybody can see this. I think everybody needs to see this. Where's this come from? The Washington Post. I know it's kind of small. I only wanted the headline here and the man's name and his little bitty face there. All right. U.S. led, after 2 decades of war on terror, do Muslim lives matter? This just disgusts me, this article. It came out this September. U.S.-led military campaigns have taken a grim toll on Muslims everywhere. Really? And how many Christians have the Muslims taken out around the world?
Since the beginning.
Yeah. This is just, since 9/11, it's not even comparable. It's so astronomically different. So Ramzi Qasim, another man we can't trust, who teaches at CUNY School of Law.
It's for some woke teachers and all.
Yeah. I've got others here now. I'm just got to bring them in.
I can't understand a word comment is saying.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. Okay. Black Mamba, Dr. and Issa, thank you for joining us, Dr. Kabir. All right. Let's keep going. The reason why I wanted to pull this up because let me just get this next slide here. Okay. I want to read this to you, and you can see what a traitorous man this is. I would say treasonous, to the point of treasonous. He writes, the news flashed across dozens of wall-mounted screens as I stepped on the jet bridge into the airport terminal. U.S. commandos had killed Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. The 10th anniversary of the events of 9/11/2001 was only a few months away. I just landed in Italy to deliver lectures on the U.S. national security law and policy, and it seemed as though a milestone of sorts had been reached with the events that unfolded while I was in midair. Today, a decade since, this is talking about September, when this was written, a decade hence in the global war on terror, it is another memory altogether, not the raid on Abbottabad that stands out from that trip. Following one of my lectures, he says, in a packed university auditorium in Brescia, I'm hoping I'm saying that right, I was approached by a young hijab-wearing Muslim, but by her name, appearance, and accented English, I read her as an Italian of Arab extraction, possibly the daughter of immigrants to Italy or an immigrant herself. Unlike the other students who cared to speak with me, she had a concise question. Why is the United States waging war on Islam. Now, for those of you paying attention and who have been here, yeah, my biggest issue.
I got something to add, if you want, of course.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we have a problem here. We have Islam as a root underground, and the Muslims are the part above the ground. As many as the military will try to wipe them out, enslave, kill, put in prison some. Without the roots taken out, they will just keep arising again and again and again and again. But wait, there is a problem. The roots of Islam are very hidden in the Quran, in the tafsirs, and in the stupid Sharia law. So we have to attack this malware first, and then deal with the Muslims that keep doing the jihad. This is my opinion. So how can we attack this malware? How can we destroy this malware from inside out without destroying the Muslims? Very easy. We just preach them. This is my opinion, and I want just 2 minutes to say it. Lord Jesus Christ to them. But we present to them, we challenge them to present from their book, the Quran, where in the Quran are the feedings, the healings, and the resurrections that prove their book, a book of life, like those actions, the feedings, the healings, and the resurrections, prove the Bible a book of life. Because Jesus, he said, Lazarus come forth. That's it. Where in the Quran, Muhammad said, Ali come forth. So we must destroy this malware by this action. These 3 actions that are included in the Bible, they cannot be beaten. They cannot be destroyed, and they cannot be unchanged. And it's like a sand. It is like a sand in the engine oil bay. So if we put this sand into their Islamic engine, it will cripple. This is my opinion. That is what I wanted to say. So thank you very much.
I want to read this part first, and then I'm going to comment. It says reflexive. Again, this is the lawyer for al-Qahtani. Reflexively, I resisted her premise. We were seeing and living. What we were seeing and living was not a war on Islam and Muslims per se. I ventured there were complex historical forces at play, driving various actors in multiple conflicts. I added, and the people and groups the United States had designated as terrorists did not represent all Muslims, but based on the hard realities of our time, the woman had concluded that there must be a U.S.-led war on Islam. And she was far from alone in that belief. The perception she articulated is still common among Muslims worldwide in the global South as well as the North. Listen to this next paragraph. As the world attempts to draw up balance sheets on 20 years of a global war on terror, the young woman's question looms in my mind, he says, with a contemporary twist. Do Muslim lives matter? Now, here's what I'm doing when I say this. I'm looking at this and I see this as a twist on reality. It's a play on words, and it's done purposely to silence people. Watch his next things, and you're going to see, I think where Black Mamba is right, and you're going to see this is why I put this up. He writes, the question can be forgiven, given the grim toll. This is where I get really angry. Toll that U.S.-led military campaigns have taken on Muslims almost everywhere. In Afghanistan, where America's largest war was now reached and predictable, denouement in its neighboring areas of Pakistan. Okay, neighboring areas of Pakistan. We weren't fighting in Pakistan, you idiot. Over 71,000 have perished. We were not fighting in Pakistan, not once. In Iraq, U.S. invasion, over 200,000 civilians have died of direct war-related violence. This is after, he's giving these stats after ISIS was there. He's including the Muslim on Muslim violence. This just makes me mad when I read it. Sorry. In Syria, U.S. operations, again, it is where ISIS ruled, 227,000 civilian casualties. This is a misinformation campaign. This is lies. This is dangerous. I get angry when I look at this. The question can be forgiven, given the grim toll. Really, can it be forgiven? That the U.S.-led military. Yeah, when you exaggerate, it just makes me mad to think of this guy. To countless Muslims and people everywhere, the message of the past 20 years is clear. The rights of Muslims are expendable. Their blood is cheap. This is a man who is a lawyer, who teaches at a college in New York State, the City College of, CUNY. I'm just so disgusted that this man teaches in the same state I do. I have nothing nice to say about that. I get thoroughly disgusted when I think about it. This information is dangerous and wrong and evil.
All this is Washington Post.
Well, I can do something about it. I do not come up here just to show my pretty face. I come up here to present some solutions. So that idiot, the bold idiot that you just presented, someone should say to him like this, like this. We the Christians always say that if and only if you have Lord Jesus Christ into your life, you have the never-ending life. So idiot, do you have Lord Jesus Christ into your life? And that's it. Why is that? It's very simple. It is extremely simple. Once you have said that to him, he is on the collision course with God. For people that do not know, this may look like a joke. Once you know God and once you experience God into your life, this is a dreadful thing. Once you preach to that idiot Jesus, he is on a collision course with God. And I kid you not. I'm talking from experience, and I'm not trying to just preaching like an idiot here to waste your time.
No, the goal of a Christian. This is a Christian news show. It is solely based on Christ, not based on anything I do or anything else. And the truth is we're going to be fighting this battle unless they give their lives to Jesus. We had a president who declared that Jesus said that Islam was not our enemy. That's a problem. It did not allow our intelligence units to do what they needed to do.